Here we are in the hop yard. It's a year later if you're watching Small Spaces and if you're watching the Off-Grid series and the introduction to my hop yard. Here are the three varieties we have. They are 4 years old. A question I see commonly is, hey, I don't have a place to trellis my hops. Well, this is about 6 feet and the hops don't seem to care. You know, they'll bind up on each other, they'll fall down, but we have plenty of cones. Things to learn, things to take away from this, being 4 years old, is that they are mature, they're hardy, and if you go a week without watering them, they'll let you know via crispy and dry leaves. But otherwise, we're about 2 or 3 weeks away from these fully coming into their own size before we can pick and dry them. That said, I want to take you to a couple other hops I have on the property here and show you kind of different things I'm doing with them. But this is probably the most traditional thing that you're going to see or do in a hop yard setting. These next 3 hop plants I'm going to show you are all Centennial second year, but they kind of have a different story on how they came here. These first 2 ones, they were in my mom's garden 6 weeks ago. They're about 9 inches tall, and they were kind of sickly looking, so I decided I was going to take matters in my own hands, transplant them. So I brought them down here, and this is just a raised garden bed with rock around it. Just all the organic matter I could find, twigs, straw, horse manure, just anything I could find and throw in there, because like I've mentioned before, our ground is really rocky, it's very dry, and it's very compacted. So I moved these plants down here, and for the first week they were very, very sad looking, they were wilted, but the lesson is don't give up on them because they're quite resilient. So I kept watering them, and as you can see now, on August 21st, they're doing quite well. They're growing up, they're healthy, there's no cones to speak of, but I don't expect that for right now. Next year, they're going to be pretty awesome. Let's swing around and we'll take in that other Centennial plant and show you what's going on with it. Still on the same property here, and this is the second year Centennial. Remember, I designed this thinking that there wasn't going to be a lot of human interaction, and I wanted to design this so it could truly be on autopilot. So I put down this organic matter bed, and we have a sloped hill, and the thinking was it was going to catch some water, kind of slow up the water and water itself, and to the most part it has. You'll see we're about 10 feet up there, and we do have some hop cones. The next thing I'm going to show you is a little bit closer to my barn here, and it's a perfect combination of permaculture techniques and designs with a little bit of human interaction. We're location at my barn, and this is south facing. I designed this with several features in mind and several things in mind. We receive 14 inches of rain a year, so gardening in Montana is always a struggle against the short season and a lack of water. So from the roof edge here, water shed down into this garden. It hits this decaying log, which kind of acts as a sponge. Also, it kicks back water into the garden bed. You'll also see that we have rocks along these logs, and what that does, during the day it absorbs thermal mass from the sun and it gives off heat during the night. Also in the spring, as it's absorbing heat, it's kind of extending our season a little bit. In the bed itself we have straw, we have manure. One of the benefits of being close to a structure is that you can throw coffee grounds on it, eggshells, you can water it if it needs it. Hasn't really been an issue because of the watershed on the roof. Other things I thought about when I designed this were keeping it close, you know, so I could have a little bit more human involvement, but also protecting my barn. 2 things. We get pretty intense sun here, so it's pretty brutal on the wood. So I put it in front. Hopefully in year 2, year 3, it'll be bushy, it'll protect. Also, it has a cooling effect. It's kind of a shade for my barn. These are first year Cascades, 10, 12 feet tall. We already got cones on them. I'm very happy with the way these have come out. When they say that you should never give up on a beer, you should give it time to kind of recover. They should extend that also to hops. Here are some Cascades that were in my mother's garden that I transplanted about the same time that I moved those Centennials down there. Well, the Centennials took off. You know, they looked wilted for about a week. They took off, they're doing fine. This Cascade, however, didn't really enjoy the same luxury. In fact, I was like, you know, I'm going to remove this, I'm going to pull it out. It didn't take. But, you know, I watered it through thick and thin and kept at it. And while you see all this brown here, this crunchy brown, I saw one vine, and it had about 6 inches of green, and that's why I didn't give up on it. which is good I didn't, because you'll see about 3 or 4 shoots coming up, signaling growth. So like I've mentioned, don't give up on beer. If it doesn't taste all right, just give it a couple months. Same thing for hops. Super resilient. I had those hops that I rototill. They came back. These are going to come back great next year.